What's good, everyone? It's your boy, Token Drew. And we here with another edition of Listin Shit. Series where I smoke some shit, talk some shit, and I list some shit. And today is part 4 of my 4-part series, where I was counting down my favorite Godzilla movies, listing them all in order, ranking all 33 movies till we get to number 1. And before we go forwards, first things first, children, this ain't for you. Godzilla is for you, but this channel is not. So go away. Now, let's get to business. We made it, everybody. This is the biggest project I've done on this channel so far, and I had a lot of fun doing it. I grew up with Godzilla. You know, when I used to sit in the dressing rooms and my mom would be singing and I would watch these movies, I for real thought that Godzilla was an actual creature. You know, the suitmation and the miniatures looked so real to me at a young age that whenever I would see construction going on in the streets of New York, I'd be like, Mom, how can Tokyo rebuild time and time again and we can't get this street fix, you know? And of course she played to my imagination. My whole life, man. Like, the first big tattoo I got was Godzilla. The first collection I completed was Godzilla. So much I could say about it. And now here we are, my 3 favorite Godzilla movies. These movies I've seen many times, English and in Japanese, and I find something new I love about them each time I watch it. So without further ado, you know who I am, and let's get right to it with part 4 of my top Godzilla movies. Numbers 3 through 1. Starting off with number 3, Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah Giant Monsters All-Out Attack. Released December 15th, 2001. Directed by Shusuke Kaneko. Oh man, this movie is awesome. This movie has my second favorite form of Godzilla. You know, I love the way he looks with his white eyes and just evil demeanor. I don't like the fact that he's kind of hunched over a bit, but you know, I mean, nothing's really perfect. He has such a cool origin story. See, this takes place in the millennium era. So in the millennium era, how they did their movies is the first Godzilla movie in 1954 was always part of their continuity. And then their movies was the next step. So they skipped over the rest of the Showa and the Heisei series. I always took it as this was Godzilla Jr.'s adventure, but you know, then I learned about the whole differences of the eras and shit as I got older. But anyway, so in this movie, Godzilla is comprised of thousands of souls of the people who were murdered during World War II when the bombs dropped. So he is just similar to Ermac from Mortal Kombat.
How many souls do you harbor?
We wield them out of thousands.
Just a collection of souls. Number 1, that's badass. He's powerful as hell, and this is probably the second most evil form of Godzilla outside of the original. And I love it. I think he looks awesome. The effects in this movie are great, like the way his atomic breath charges up. You know, the other monsters in this movie, you got Baragon, who hasn't been seen since like the 60s or some shit, maybe 70s. You have Mothra, You have King Ghidorah, which his design in the movie for the most part is kind of the weakest. but it makes sense because he's not a fully formed dragon. Speaking of which, let's just talk about that. So, Baragon, Mothra, and King Ghidorah are the guardians of Earth in this story. And they are awoken to try and stop Godzilla. Godzilla, being this spirit creature, is just on a rampage. And he kicks all of their asses. And I love it. I love every minute of it. Not to mention, there's some dark humor in the movie. There's a scene where Godzilla's coming towards this girl in the hospital. And she's freaking out thinking he's going to kill her. And he walks by and she's like breathing a sigh of relief. And then his tail comes through and just destroys her. So dark humor through the movie. I also like how this movie is a definitive powerhouse Godzilla destroying everybody. And it has some cool ass moments, such as when Godzilla is fighting Baragon, who was originally supposed to be Anguirus, but they changed it up, which I'm kind of glad because I don't want to see Godzilla whooping Anguirus like that. The monster acting is great. And this movie also was my first introduction into the Millennium series. Because after Godzilla vs. Destroyer and after Godzilla 2000, I just kind of moved on with life. And I was working at Blockbuster and I saw this case. And I was like, wait a minute. I never seen this Godzilla movie. What the hell is this? And next thing I know, there was like 6 other movies I hadn't seen. And then Final Wars is coming out. I got to binge watch the entire Millennium series, which is dope. Easily my favorite one in the Millennium series. All right, so next up, number 2, Godzilla vs. Biollante. Released December 16th, 1989. Directed by Kazuki Omori. All right, so this movie, man, this is probably the best actual story in any Godzilla movie. The plot is engaging. There's a lot going on. It covers bioengineering as well as a typical nuclear threat, and they put it together in such an interesting way. There's even like an espionage undertone with like spies and shit. It's pretty cool. Biollante has a beautiful and tragic origin. She is the result of the doctor, I forget his name. It escapes my mind now because that blunt was amazing. But the doctor's daughter was killed in a terrorist attack because they are trying to figure out how the Godzilla cells work. Godzilla vs. Biollante takes place immediately after Godzilla 1985. So Godzilla is currently slumbering in a volcano. They're trying to figure out how his cells work, and his terrorist organization wants to stop the doctor's research. And in his research, he figures out how to combine Godzilla cells and plant cells, but they missed one element, and what the element ended up being was human DNA. He used his daughter's DNA because she was killed in this terrorist attack, and it formed a giant-ass rose kaiju. And this rose was, at first, not very hostile, but they realized that it had the daughter, Erica's soul inside of it. Meanwhile, the terrorist organization was like, if you don't give us our shit, or if you don't stop this, or whatever they were doing, we're gonna set off bombs around the volcano to awaken Godzilla, which ends up happening. Godzilla comes out, Biollante calls to it, they fight a couple times, she comes back in this second form, which is freaking amazing, and they have another great battle. And this movie, just like, honestly, the last movie, has a very whack ending. I'm not gonna lie. I don't like the way that the monsters end off in this movie. Godzilla, he's hit with some sort of a virus that slows him down, and after this battle with Biollante, like midway through the fight, he just kind of turns off and walks off and falls in the ocean. What type of ending is that? But needless to say, it's still a great movie, and one that I would recommend to anybody who's trying to get into the series. This movie really sets the tone for the entire Heisei era. And this monster, Biollante, is just huge and intense looking. Highly recommended. Highly recommended. And now, before we get into my number 1 entry, let's just take a look back at the series and what brought us to this point.
nigga never rhymed, if a nigga got caught, be doing time for that crime. Doing lines at a party, writing it down with a preacher's daughter, whispering that bullshit in the ear she never thought of. What if I never met baby mama? Would I still have kids? If I made other choices, would my life be different? If I never played that game and chaos was never created? If I never fucked the first, how long would I have waited? My life is full of fuckers, but what it means regretting. My choices turn me from a no one to true, the fucking legend.
In the night, when you close your eyes, I'm the one you see, the one you chose and press until you're another memory.
Well, I once had a plan involving me taking a stand, but my legs were too weak, so I tried to not give a damn, and now we see where I am. I tried to work it out. Sport, I take the goal, except I'd probably fail to win the game and end up going home. As a failure of failing, I think it's caused except for that.
Beware, the angels are coming.
To the earth with each verse, for work on track, stained with the dirt. Never worse than this curse. My life is so perverse. What if I for suicide, providing bitch in a hearse? What if my heart never broke? What if I never wrote a blunt? What if bullshit got to me? And if I ever gave a fuck? What if I ain't go hard on every fucking track? Fuck that. This is what this is, the revolution of rap.
In the night, when you close your eyes, I'm the one you see, the one you chose not to be. You chose and press on till you're another memory. In the night, when you close your eyes, I'm the one you see, the one you chose.
And now, for my number one Godzilla movie of all, Godzilla vs. Destroyah, released December 9th, 1995, directed by Takao Okara. You know, even though it wasn't the most financially successful Godzilla movie, and even though it might not be your number one, this movie to me is not only my favorite Godzilla movie, but one of my favorite movies of all time. And I'll tell anybody that put that on any list of mine, you know, this is the best of the best. You can't change my mind. You cannot.
I know it gets tiring hearing about the fucking shit that we hate. It's time to turn it around.
I was 10 years old, just under 10 years old when this movie was released. And I remember seeing reports on TV about Godzilla dying. And like, that shit shook me. That shit crushed me, because that was like my hero. I thought the motherfucker was real. And I remember 10-year-old, 11-year-old me like being really sad about this. And I remember actually watching the movie and like breaking down when that ending happened. And my mom coming to console me, and she was like, you know he's not real, right? It's just some dude in a suit. And that was the only time in my life I ever cursed at my mom. Only time. I was like, you were full of shit. That is bullshit. You're lying. I did not want to hear nothing about it. This was more than just a movie to me. This actually, Burning Godzilla is the first tattoo, big tattoo I got.
Not a flounder with the will to survive. The world will beat you down when you just gotta fight back. Tell the world that it's a vision, that you like it like that. As the world marvels at your beautiful.
This movie, this variation of Godzilla, you know, I've mentioned it a couple times on my channel. I did that double unboxing with those X Pluses. It's the Yuji Sakai modeling collection of the X Plus Burning Godzilla, as well as the Rick edition of the same Burning Godzilla.
Getting them critics, but a nigga on a mission, keeping lyrics.
And, you know, everything about the movie I love. You know, the plot is great, the pacing is dope. It's emotional as hell. Like, they put a lot of acting into the suits. When Godzilla Jr., when he's fighting Destroyah, you are rooting for him. You know, you're like, you can do this, man, go. And he gets his ass killed. It's shocking because he gets brutally hurt. You know what I mean? Like, he gets one of those little alien mouths shot into his chest, you know? Lifted up and then dropped from such a high distance. And, you know, the Heisei series, you got to actually see baby Godzilla grow up from the initial hatching to that weird Pokemon looking ass stage to now this, you know. You know, he's appeared in 3 movies in this era. So, like, you kind of get attached to it, you know? And they just destroy him. Destroyah does what he does, you know what I'm saying? And when Godzilla comes across his body, like, you can actually see the anguish and pain. Speaking of which, Godzilla himself, he's melting down. That's the reason why he looks like that, you know? Such a high power output coming down that, like, the way that the suit actor was working, you can actually feel the pain every time, you know, he roared. Yeah, it's just a dude in a suit, but he brought that shit to life. And the impact of the movie to be on news outlets in America that this icon was getting killed off. You know, they did the same thing when Superman died. You know what I'm saying? That just shows you how powerful some of these characters, these fictional characters truly are. You know, I was watching Godzilla vs. Destroyer today, and like, even though I've seen that movie so much, and even though here I am at 34, grown-ass man, you know, life is hard, we're on a lockdown and shit like that, I'm watching this movie, I can still feel it in my chest, like, damn, I know it's gonna happen, but damn, this is still a good episode. But damn, this is still a good movie, you know? The design for Burning Godzilla is just amazing. Amazing. Not only is this my favorite movie in the whole series, this is my favorite design of Godzilla. And he's great, you know, just so damn good. And then the ending, when all of that energy goes into Godzilla Jr. and he's resurrected as a full-grown Godzilla. You know, and that's why, before I really hopped online and started reading more about it, that's why I thought Godzilla 2000 and on was the adventures of that Godzilla. You know, because Godzilla himself, he died in 95, and it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing.
Real talk, I ain't from the block, but I got street smarts, I've seen some things.
And you know, I almost forgot. But I can't talk about this movie without talking about the actual end, the final scenes, Godzilla's death. This shit is kind of graphic, not gonna lie. You know, Godzilla is melting down. That's, I mean, melting down, you know what I'm saying? And the military realize that when he melts, that's gonna essentially destroy the world because of all of that radiation and everything. So they start blasting him with all this ice shit, right? So the scene has such beautiful music. Oh my god, the music in this scene is ridiculous. And then the effects they have and everything to do with this scene. Godzilla covered in like this white ice and roaring painfully. Like, he's roaring painfully, you can tell. And finally, it happens. Finally, he lets out his last pitiful few roars. Not even like real Godzilla throaty roars. Really, like, you could tell they were dead. Like, he never made this noise before. You feel what I'm saying? And it shows him melting. It shows his face melting, and then like his body melting as he roars, and the nuclear energy shoots up out of him, and then he just crumbles down as a skeleton into nothing, while this beautiful music is playing. And I mean, that shit's a tearjerker, son. Like, I can even feel the goosebumps raising on me talking about it, even though I literally just watched this for this episode, even though I've seen this part so many times. It's still amazing. Still amazing.
Going up to be a Power Ranger, said you can do a boy, you'll be the greatest. Show up to work, I'm blazed faded. Working at dicks, I'm addicted to tables. My left eye glowing like
The whole world at the time, at least in the entertainment area, you know, they mourned the death of a character, and that's cool. That's cool. One of the greatest movie characters of all. Hell yeah. Well, there we have it, everybody. 33 entries, 4-part series, like I said. Busted it out. Thank you guys so much for watching. It was a good time. You know, Godzilla means a lot to me. I hope one day he can mean a lot to my sons. And, you know, the more people that love him, the more that comes out, you know, so I think it's pretty awesome. A shout out to Ishiro Honda for bringing his vision and this amazing character to life. Akira Ifukube for some of the best music you'll ever hear in a movie. Like this immense, beautiful scores for rubber suit acting, like. And finally, Haruo Nakajima, who was the original Godzilla suit actor for like 12 suits. You know, those 3 men, plus the numerous others who've been a part of this. Many names I've said during the, you know, during the directors like Jun Fukada and Takao Okara, and, you know, so many directors brought this creature to life, and it's awesome. I wouldn't change it for anything in the world. I don't know what the next series I'm gonna do is gonna be. You know, we had about 2 hours worth of material for this. I'm looking at watching Star Wars next, the new trilogy. Might review that. Might go horror movies. I don't know. I mean, and there's always unboxings. You know, there's always gonna be unboxings on this channel.
Drew be on that real shit. Who be on that real shit? Who be on
Well, until next time, I'm your boy Token Drew.
that real shit?
Live up,
Drew be on that real shit.
smoke out,
Be on that real shit. I'm on that.
and game on.
I'm on that real shit.
I'm out this bitch.
The same 'cause I wait the tables. Y'all fuckers ever stay
Thanks for watching.
say I get real 'cause I ain't a fella.
Peace.
Before the limelight, I ain't really winning, but I'm doing alright. Me and my son had a conversation while TMNT playing on the PlayStation about him going up to be a Power Ranger. Said you can do a boy, you'll be the greatest. Show up to work, I'm blazed faded. Working at dicks, I'm addicted to tables. My left eye glowing like my name is Cable. I'm Drew the legend, not Drew the fable. Got no time for lies, time for games. Stretching the story and making myths. My life a team of LeBron and Kobe's. I'm a no-name player, getting no assists. Then I got the balls, my time to shine. So I'm a thug the truth on your lying ass. Yo, image a bitch on my ears, I stab with a joke and laugh. I put you niggas on blast. I'm on that real shit. Drew be on that real shit. I'm on that real shit. Drew be on that real shit. I'm on that real shit. Who be on that real shit? I'm on that real shit. Who be on that real shit? I'm on that real shit. Drew be on that real shit. I'm on that real shit. Drew be on that real shit. I'm on that real shit. Who be on that real shit? I'm on that real shit.